Hey man, say man, ain't a YouTuber but I'm recording today, man. If y'all ain't here, Lil Durk trial is tomorrow. Oh, that being said, you get your popcorn, get everything ready, you feel me? Cause his trial is tomorrow. You feel me? So get everything ready, folks. I already got some shit for today. But shit, by the time the trial is tomorrow, I'm probably be at work. So it's probably gonna be over with by the time I get off work. Cause I got work 5 o'clock in the morning to 3:30. So I'm gonna miss the trial, if that being said. You feel me? I never really speak about this. I really don't speak about shit like this. I don't want to see a nigga in jail, and I don't want to see a nigga gangbanging in the streets at the same time. You feel me? Get you a job. But at the same time, though, niggas gotta do what they gotta do. You feel me? Motherfuckers live that type of life. I ain't gonna say I did. I did for sure. But I was never a gangster, you feel me? So sometimes you got to let that gangster image shit go. You feel me? You ain't gotta be a gangster 24/7, you feel me? The only time I get gangster is if a nigga try to get gangster with me, you feel me? I ain't gonna get gangster with a nigga that's a Buford, you feel me? With that being said, what do I think about this nigga situation? You fucked, my boy. You fucked. I ain't gonna bap to you. You fucked. You fucked up. At the same time, I feel you though. You feel me? Niggas took your homie out and shit. The comments got to you. 6ix9ine got to you. Everybody got to you. So you did some crash out shit. You held your ground. You slid for Vaughn. You got the wrong nigga. And now you sitting behind a jail cell. You feel me? But at the same time though, I don't blame you. But I don't agree with you. Free Durk. Free everybody. Nah, though. Let's get into it, bro. Let's get into it. Which one do I want? I don't like this nigga. I don't like this nigga. The same nigga. I don't like this nigga. This my baby. I'm not a lawyer, but this is my baby. So y'all, but her video too short. I need some shit that's long, no homo. Trap. I don't fucking like this nigga. Oh my god, I don't like this. This nigga look like a fucking, what's that shit called? I forgot what that shit called. It's just like a caterpillar. Armadillo. That's what that shit's called. You look like an armadillo. You ugly as fuck, nigga. Do we look like that?
Okay, so look, I'm here outside the federal courthouse, all right? This is the second video that I'm actually now making on the information that came out today. And if you saw the last video, you'll know that some pretty crazy stuff came out in court regarding OTF Jam. Now, I just told you that he basically apparently told the feds that he obviously...
OTF Jam!
Beat dropping in...
Oh, shit. OTF Jam, G. You already snitching, fool? I mean, we already knew you was a snitch, but you testifying? That's what he said.
OTF Jam. Now, I just told you that he basically apparently told the feds that he information that came out today. And if you saw the last video, you'll know that some pretty crazy stuff came out in court regarding OTF Jam. Now, I just told you that he basically apparently told the feds that he obviously now he's cooperating. It's been official. He's cooperating. He's saying that he was at the music video shoot for the song Block is Hot with Dee Dee, and that Durk and a bunch of other guys took him into the bathroom and basically said to him, bro, you need to chill on committing these murders because you are literally making the block hot. The title of the song is Block is Hot, and you're making the block hot with all these extra murders. Now, he basically is going to tell them a whole bunch of stuff, and what I'm going to tell you in this video is just about a whole bunch of like back and forths that went down, where basically like it's very overwhelming evidence that like Lil Durk was seemingly, you know, funding this get back for Vaughn. There was a bunch of evidence for, you know, getting stolen cars, getting get back for Vaughn, O-Block not going home.
Stolen cars? Nigga, you a billionaire. Or a millionaire, not a billionaire. What the fuck you getting stolen cars for? Even though that's probably smart because they not traceable back to you. But at the same time, for like, you can't just get a random person on the street, like a crackhead or something, and get some cars, like low budget. You can find a random motherfucker and you can get a car in their name.
Hard enough for getting back for Vaughn. Durk talking about transporting guns. Just a bunch of really incriminating evidence that really, a lot of it connects to OTF Jam, and it is pretty interesting. And we're going to hear about how OTF Jam was included in OTF, and basically the argument being made that like OTF Jam was actually like included in OTF and being given money up front in the hopes that in future he might commit crimes and murders for Durk. So set aside the fact that what I told you in the last video is that when they did the Block is Hot music video, they took Jam into the bathroom and told him, yo, you need to slow down on all these extra murders. You doing extra assignments that we ain't really putting you onto here, which in itself is pretty incriminating. But the next...
Alright, nigga, get the spit off your lip, but at the same time, why the fuck you make a song called Block is Hot and he's doing all these extra? Ain't no fucking extra, nigga. He's a savage. He's a savage. What the fuck you mean? Why you doing all these extra committed murders, bro? You never, what the fuck? You never know who he beefing with. Do y'all want the block to be hot or not? I swear, these gangsters have level 3 reading levels.
Stuff I'm about to tell you is pretty crazy, okay? So what ended up happening following on from my last video, they kept going through various exhibits, kind of going over different things that Durk's defense wanted kind of stricken off and ruled out, and the prosecution wanted included. And the judge was basically giving both sides an opportunity to argue their respective points, and then pretty much not necessarily making a ruling. I know a lot of people got on my case about the judge basically says what he's going to do before he does it. He says his feelings, he says what his plans are, and then he puts it in writing within a couple of days, okay? So before anyone says, oh, that didn't, I'm going to tell you what the judge said, and you're going to get the gist, you're going to get an impression of the types of rulings that he's going to make. So they moved on to evidence 184 and 183, and they basically said 183 is kind of part of the gang component, and the judge says, look, everything's kind of rising and falling on the gang stuff. You guys put in a lot of stuff late, I severed the indictment, and really I'm trying to avoid anything that's related to this BDGD gang war that was going on in Chicago, because this is about Lil Pab, Quando Rondo, Lil Tim, a bunch of guys from Savannah who were having a music industry beef with King Von. Was nothing to do with the GDBD gang war. So what ended up happening there is the government were basically saying Exhibit 183 is a clip or an image that basically shows Didi making gang signs. And they said that their confidential witness number 1, who we now know as OTF Jam, will basically say that this is a sign dissing the GDs. It's probably GDK, all right? If you know GDK, it's the pitchforks, upside down. I'm not going to do it in disrespect.
You just did it, nigga.
It's probably GDK, all right? If you know GDK, it's the pitch.
Hey, you is GD. You a GD. You just did it, fo. You feel me? Screenshot this shit. You just threw it up. You are GD. Ain't no, I'm not gonna do it. You already did it. The fuck? Why you even doing that shit anyway, nigga? Why you even doing that shit? This is 2026. All you gotta say is look that shit up on Google. You ain't gotta put no example up on the screen, nigga. Now, motherfuckers could screenshot this shit. Yeah, Chop Lil Ross is GD. All the GDs could use this as their wallpaper, folks. A goofy ass white person with hexagon glasses throwing up GD. Your ass is goofy. You need to stay your ass in the UK.
Forks upside down. I'm not going to do it and disrespect anyone. Okay, I'm not affiliated with anyone. But you know the hand sign. King Von used to do it non-stop. You know when people be doing the little broken love heart emoji.
And then you stay throwing this shit up, G. Like the BDs could use that now, bro. Stop throwing that shit up, G. Stop, you ugly as fuck. Stop throwing that shit up, Armadillo.
That's low-key GDK, I'm not going to lie to you, with a thumb sticking out. Anyway, all right, you get the gist. So the judge basically said, look, how does this GDK gang sign, how does that tie in to the motive for stalking and murdering, attempting to murder Quando Rondo and murdering his cousin Lil Pab? How does that relate? This isn't about the GDBD gang war. And they said, look, that sign doesn't relate to this specific, the judge said that sign doesn't relate to this specific conspiracy, so what's the purpose? And the government clapped back. They basically said, look, the gang piece in 183rd, it basically gives a motive. We've got all types of motorbikers coming by.
Don't you have a car?
Motorbikers are active. It's active outside the courthouse today. I'm not going to lie, it's popping.
Go to your car.
They basically explained, okay, that like, in their opinion, they said, look, King Von is a prominent, feared black disciple. He was a real black disciple legend, right? He was BD crazy, okay? They didn't say that, but that's what they would say in Chiracology. But basically said, look, that's
trying to be
why
funny, nigga.
King Von's status as king of BDs on King David, all right? On King Von.
No, nigga, he's from King Drive, you fucking dumbass. He ain't no king of no fucking BDs. Stay your ass in the UK, fo. Cause your ass don't know what the fuck you talking about. Your ass pissing me off. How the fuck is he king of the BDs, fo? There's hella people in Chicago got more bodies than that nigga. What the fuck you mean he king of the BDs? Ain't nobody listen to, bro, just cause he had money at the time. You feel me? You ain't king of shit, nigga. What the fuck?
He was so important that they needed to get back. It didn't matter that the GDs didn't kill Von. He was so respected for their own honor, they needed to get back and get revenge on King Von. That's what was going on, all right? So after that went down, the judge basically said, well, if that was so important, why are you just bringing this up now? You're a little bit late to the party on bringing up this information. And then after that, the prosecution basically said, we did bring it up with an expert witness a year ago. You guys are overlooking that. They basically said, look, this piece of information, this is what makes this senseless crime make sense. They said Durk being a multi-millionaire rap star who's doing songs with Drake, him sending a hit squad doesn't make sense unless you factor in the fact that King Von was his like best friend, he had signed him musically, and that his status as the king of the BDs on King David was needed to be defended. They needed to defend his honor. The only thing that makes a millionaire rapper like Lil Durk throw his whole life away sending a hit squad a day's notice to a whole nother state is King Von's status. It makes sense to me. So active out here. So after that, all right, I'm gonna have to yell over this thing, man. It's crazy. So after that, the judge basically said, well, look, 183 and 184, it kind of is like, based on my view that this is part of the gang theory. He said that seems most relevant. He said, what are the dates for Seen It All and the Federal Freestyle? Other songs and music videos that you guys are trying to include? And they said January 2023 was the Federal Freestyle, same as 182. They said OTF Jam is going to give the best estimate to when the videos for these songs were filmed. I don't know if they might have got that a little bit wrong, because I swear Federal Freestyle was on OTF's Loyal Bros 2 album, and I'm pretty sure that came out on December 16th, but obviously the music video came out later, so that might be the point of contention there. But anyway, I don't know. I'm just a show rechologist over here. But anyway, after that, they said that OTF Jam would be given the best estimate of when those videos were filmed. They said that participating witness 1 was seen in the Federal Freestyle. Obviously, that's how we know it's OTF Jam. They're saying PW1 was seen in Federal Freestyle. Federal Freestyle's his song. It's a solo song that they put on the OTF group album. So the fact that they confirm it's Jam. Jam's the only one on the Federal Freestyle. There's other people in the video, but it's his song.
Get to the fucking point.
And Jam basically said he felt like if he didn't participate in the murder of Savia Robinson and the stalking of Quando Rondo, he didn't feel like he would have been included in these opportunities. He wouldn't be getting given his own song on the Loyal Bros album, Federal Freestyle, and a whole music video for it if he hadn't participated in this murder. He said the prosecution said there's a criminal component to OTF. The gang signs show this. This is very important. So Dee Dee's lawyer would jump in. He would basically say, look, you weren't supposed to include gang signs. The judge basically cut him off, said, look, I know that GDK is a reference to taunting the GDs. I know what that's all about. They said the messages between Durk and others, it references GDK, and it kind of goes against the theory that rap beef was fake for promo. They basically said, look, the prosecution basically said, look, Durk's team, they're going to get up there and have an expert witness say, oh, rap beef's all fake. They're all doing it for money. It's WWE wrestling shit. And basically, the prosecution are going to say, well, Durk's in messages talking about GDK, he big GDK, he GD killer. Doesn't sound, he's in his private messages, doesn't sound like a made up rap beef if he in his private group chats talk about he big GD killer and all this kind of stuff. So after that,
you know what's crazy, folks? Most of these niggas think GDs and BDs always beef with each other and shit. No. GDs and BDs always, like, they've been cool with each other, you feel me? It just sets, you feel me? There's different gangs and shit they used to beef with. Not every gang, not every GD beef with every BD, not every BD beef with every GD. It was gangs and shit. Now, when like that little JoJo shit, he really started it off. Before Lil JoJo, GDs and BDs was cool. After Lil JoJo, dead that shit. If it wasn't for Lil JoJo, the GDs and BDs would not be beefing. Not, at least not everyone.
Brian Steele took the stand on this. He said this is totally prejudicial. He gave a bunch of case law and cases involving gang involvement as being prejudicial. And the judge basically was like, okay, I've heard enough. I'll take it under consideration. He didn't make it clear which way he was going to go on that one, but he said he was going to consider it. So after that, we were looking at evidence number 220. The judge basically said, I previously suggested that the voice memo should come in. This was really interesting. This could be a W for Durk. But he said, but I didn't realize how long after the murder this voice memo was recorded. Now, the prosecution said the court ruled that this was probative. We're allowed to include this. And the judge said, well, yeah, but not if it's a million years after the murder. Now, I thought that was a little bit... No disrespect to the judge, but it's like a little bit facetious to be like, oh yeah, it was, oh well, if it's a million years. It's not a million years, but it's like around a year, around 1 year. A million years is crazy. We're getting into the future. SpaceX got data centers on the moon. Like, that's not when we're talking about. A million years is crazy. But obviously, you know, the judge is a straight shooter. He talks straight, and I get why he said that, but it was almost a little bit like, all right, come on now. It's not no million years. It's a year, just under a year, really. Can you open that for me, please? Thank you. So basically, nice one. I'm just gonna have a little sip.
Man, come on, you have a little
right now,
sip
right,
already.
amino
Hurry the fuck up.
So, they basically said, the prosecution said, well, look, Jam was first recruited for the murder. This was interesting. It said he was recruited by Booney Mo, and apparently Booney Mo said to Jam directly, Blood, in reference to Durk, Blood wants to fly you out. Now, that's a little bit of a pause, I'm not going to lie. So Jam getting flown out by Durk, but he ain't getting flown out like some of these other people getting flown out by Durk. They're saying that Booney Mo recruited him to get flown out for this murder, and he's going to testify to that. That's bad. So the voice note was apparently Booney Mo later saying that Blood, in reference to Lil Durk, wants to put money in the hood for sliders. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. He a multi-millionaire rapper. They talking about he doing songs with Drake. Him holding money doesn't mean anything. Well, why is there a voice note of people saying that he wants to put money in the hood for sliders? Like, that's not really a great look. So they're basically saying that Booney is actually speaking on behalf of Lil Durk. They're saying that he directed these sliders, these stolen cars, to be purchased for the specific purpose of committing crimes. They're saying that Durk is the one exercising control over the group and the individuals in it. And they're saying that this text is basically context for the voice note that is going to be put forward, and the government said, look, we can trim it down if it's too long. And the judge said, look, if it's not if 220 should be admitted, it's if the voice note should actually join the exhibit. And the defense said, look, this is inadmissible. It was taken in April 2023. So the judge talking about if it's a million years after April 2023, that's less than a year, right? Like, what's that like? It was in August, so that's what, 8 months after? That's 8 months and a million years is definitely two big differences. But anyway, I'm gonna leave the judge alone because he seemed like a real straight shooter. But from there, they basically explain that, like, they're just assuming that Doody Lowe is referring to Durk when he says blood, but he's saying that these guys refer to each other as blood all the time. They're saying this has nothing to do with the case, and it's interesting, right, because they're low-key snitching on themselves. They keep on saying, oh, these messages, they're not about the murder, they're about drug dealing. They're getting at each other, they're messaging each other about, like, little drug deals and little trap houses that they've got going on. It's like, okay, cool, but you guys copping out to a different crime? And also, I just find it hard to believe. What, you need sliders for drug dealing? How many people say they're gonna go?
Duh, you stupid. This motherfucker trying to rob you, dumbass. You stupid. This why you need to stay your ass in the UK, because your ass is stupid, bro. You need sliders for drug dealing? Are you stupid? Are you slow? That is the most dangerous job in this whole wide world. Drug dealing. You could die anytime, any moment. You could die with your mom. You could die anywhere, you nigga. What the fuck you mean, do you need sliders for drug dealing? Duh. Come on, man. Shave your beard. Get the hexagon glasses off and put on the brain.
Slide and sell some drugs. That's not how it works. Do you want to go slide? We're going to go slide on the ops and sell them drugs. That's not what happens. But anyway, they're going to try their best.
You're going to slide on the ops to sell some drugs. Who the fuck even says some shit like that? Every nigga that sell drugs got ops. Come on now. What the fuck are you talking about?
So after that, we kind of saw a little bit more stuff kind of go down.
And who is this gay ass nigga behind?
Got some more information that pretty much just kind of went to, you know, whether or not the judge should kind of stick to the ruling. And basically, he kind of talked about the timing, whether there would be anything kind of. Basically, the defense said, look, they agree. It would be nothing to do with the conspiracy. And like the timing really doesn't matter. But like. This kind of didn't really make sense because the prosecution basically said, look, we're not going to get into this whole idea that they were drug dealers, that they were trapping, that they were selling drugs. Like, that's not relevant. There's no accusation that they were selling drugs. It's not a drug case. It's not a drug trafficking case. That's not what's going on. They basically just said what's key is that Booney Mo is recruiting people, especially OTF Jam, for specific purposes to participate in this conspiracy. That's what they're alleging, okay? And then the judge basically said, well, look, okay, but it's up to the defense to decide what this is really about. Like, that's really what's going on with this. And they said that, you know, the prosecution basically said, look, the reference to sliders, it refers to stolen cars. It's kind of like a whole thing.
No, sliders is nigga that's sliding. Stolen cars are called steamers, nigga. What are you talking about? I don't know what the fuck this kind of court shit is. They don't know what the facts is.
Where basically, you know, they're trying to get their stolen cars to commit crimes with. They're saying that this connects to the LA sliders. They said we need to get some sliders in LA to, you know, basically go and commit crimes with. That's what's going on. And so after that, the prosecution would move on to Exhibit 10, and they basically would say, this is weird. I might have written this down wrong, but basically I've written Exhibit 10, but I think maybe that includes several things, but they said 219 is a piece of evidence that is incredibly important. They basically said this is an admission of the murder from Durk to Dee. And what's interesting about that is the judge actually said, look, I haven't actually read this one yet. The judge says that they haven't kind of got around to this one yet, but, you know, explain it, let me know what's going on with that. So after that, the prosecution said, well, look, the life of the conspiracy is key. The conspiracy never ended. They're saying witnesses in the exhibits will show that the conspiracy will not end. It did not end. They were conspiring to do this shit for quite some time. It was like a very, very obvious thing that they were doing this conspiracy, and they was going to keep this covered up as long as they possibly could. Now, after that, the judge said, look, we can't have the same argument over and over and over again 5 times. I'm going to rule on the length of the conspiracy later on. And then the prosecution basically said, well, look, in 219, this is what it shows. It shows that Durk and OTF were basically upset with Von's set of the BDs. They didn't say O-Block, but I'm assuming that they're talking about O-Block. And what I think that they were doing in that case is that they were basically explaining that, like, O-Block wasn't sliding for Von. Like, that's basically what's going on there. And so, like...
I wouldn't slide for Von either, fo. I ain't gonna bad to you. Unless Von personally gave me some money in my pocket, I'm not sliding for that nigga. Fuck am I wasting my life for? That nigga tried to box. His ass got put in a box. That should tell you something, fo. What the fuck am I going all the way to Atlanta for a nigga that ain't even in the wrong? I'm not even biased or none of that shit, G. I look at it from two different perspectives, you feel me? Not saying King Von was wrong for knocking on a nigga. Not saying Lil Tim was wrong for shooting the nigga. You feel me? It's a win-lose situation. You got your ass beat, you got your ass shot. Bro, learn how to keep your hands on yourself, bro. What the fuck? Learn how to keep your hands to yourself. That should tell you something, folks. Sometimes you can't learn from that. You just gotta live with it or die with it. There's only so much your mom could teach you. Once you 18, I ain't teach you shit else. You on your own. If you can't keep your hands to yourself, you got to learn the hard way. And unfortunately, he learned the fucking hard way. When you in Chicago, don't take your Chicago mentality to Atlanta. If you in Atlanta, don't take your Atlanta mentality to Chicago. You feel me? Because these are not your hoods. You in someone else's territory. I don't care. I ain't got checking with nobody else. I mean, that checking this shit is dead. I ain't checking in with nobody. You don't even own this fucking earth. Why the fuck would I want to check in with you? Your ass a goofy. But at the same time, you do goofy shit like that, you get goofy rewards. And a goofy reward is death or jail. And that's what both of these niggas got. Lil Durk in jail, King Von's in the grave. Not trying to say it like that, but that's how I gotta say it.
It kind of makes sense to me you know, they basically said they were mad at O-Block for not getting revenge for Von. They said that there was communication between Didi and others where they discussed O-Block beefing with other people and, like, you know, basically just like the disrespect that was leveled towards King Von. So, like, with that, they basically kind of like were talking about, like, you know, the beef that O-Block were having with people. They said, you know, it was an admission, right? They said that Durk said, oh, they're leaving all of the sliding up to us. And, you know, basically the defense said that,
who the fuck is us, nigga? You not even sliding. I don't think Durk even killed nobody in his whole life. You a gangster. I'ma say you a gangster and shit. But you was not a shooter, fo. You not a shooter. You is not a shooter. Not gonna lie to you, fo. All you do is put money on people's heads and get them killed.
this has nothing to do with the case, all right? This opens up the door to, like, a gang sideshow that they described it as. They called it a gang sideshow, which I just thought was, like, a little bit random, okay? But,
Trap Lil Ross, is this your boyfriend or something? Why is he always in the camera? Why is he behind you? Like, why is he directly behind you with his hand on his neck and shit? Like, fo, who is this nigga? Trap Lil Ross, you coming out the closet, fo?
oh man. So basically, right, like this gang sideshow that I don't really have any kind of like understanding of. But that's
nah, don't try to hide the nigga now. Don't try to hide the nigga.
It was opening it up.
Look, he trying to hide his boyfriend.
So, after that, they moved on to talking about Exhibit 10, and in Exhibit 10, the judge basically said, "Why is this needed? What is the purpose of this? What
you
is the
embarrassing me?"
And from there,
we're going to the other
side.
side.
Said, look, the prosecution said, look, we can sanitize Exhibit 10. We can
he try. Look at Trap Lil Ross. He try to
like a smaller segment of it. We can kind of like break this down in kind of separate detail.
Look,
basically,
he embarrassed
like,
his punk.
Arriving on the scene after the shooting. It's going to be like footage of what was going on with that. And they basically say that they plan to like, you know, get this kind of says that the first responders were planning to get Pab out of the vehicle. They're going to show like body cam from the first responders that were at the scene, taking little Pab out of the vehicle. Quando Rondo reacting. Obviously, this is the infamous clip where we know that he's like screaming no, no, and you know we've seen that on TMZ. We've seen that going around a bunch of places. It says that they'll be calling the deputy that was kind of on the scene as a witness in this case, and basically the defense, specifically Brian Steele, then got up and talked and explained that this was as prejudicial as it could be. They said that they're begging for sympathy. They said that, you know, this is a clip of a guy in a pool of blood, and the judge said, well, what exhibits did the defense actually even care about at this point? And there, the defense would basically say that, look, we care about 116, social media posts from Von showing the text between Durk and a co-conspirator, improper character evidence that was putting them in a bad light as a killer, basically just like making them look bad. So after that, what we then heard was there were like exhibits. They basically said, look, Von isn't available to testify. How are you doing? You part of the video?
No. What video?
So like the exhibits basically kind of
Oh my God, you need it, bro.
Like, they said that the defense, sorry, my bad. So it was the prosecution that said, the prosecution said, well, the exhibit's material showed a lot of intent. They basically said that there were texts with co-conspirator 3. They told him that Von would be out in the streets for revenge if Durk died. So basically they're saying that apparently there was back and forth messages saying that, look, if Durk got killed, Von would have been sliding every day. It would have been slide for Durk and they would have slid. And basically there was intent to murder. They were planning to get revenge. And the judge basically said, cool, I'm going to look over 116. I'm going to let you know about that. So that was pretty crazy. Okay, that was pretty crazy. So that is kind of that. After that, they were looking at Exhibit 120, and that was basically co-conspirator number 3 that had apparently sent Exhibit 119 as well. And the judge basically said Durk is mocking the reaction of Quando Rondo at the scene. You know, where he was screaming, no! And they basically said, why isn't 120 the link between these things? And the defense basically said, look, the link, it's not responded to, it's not relevant. They're basically saying that somebody messaged Durk and sent him like the footage and the details of Quando at the scene screaming no after all of that stuff happened. So after that, they're basically saying there was no evidence who sent it. They're not putting forward like who sent it, what the details about this were, and pretty much they were just trying to say that, like, look, Durk wasn't in there. Someone messaged Durk basically in a group chat talking about, oh, Quando was at the screen screaming no, and Durk didn't really want no parts of it. Durk didn't really say nothing about it. So after that, all right, basically from there, the judge would say, look, I don't understand why you think this was hearsay. It's a verbal act that somebody else made. And the defense said, well, look, if there's an inference that it's mocking, if there's an inference that the message was mocking Quando Rondo, it's prejudicial to Durk. Someone sending him the message talking about no with no response, it's not really relevant. So there was kind of more of these little incriminating things that were brought up in these group chats. They was trying to say that there was a text between Durk and a co-conspirator talking about transportation of pipes. So obviously that's guns, right? Pipes is gun. We know what pipes is. And they're basically saying that this was all the way back in December 2020 before the conspiracy had started. And they said that the defense was trying to say this is 404B. It's nothing to do with the case. It's prejudicial. And then the judge basically said, look, understandably, like, you have to try your best to kind of get this evidence thrown out. But why wouldn't I admit this, since it corroborates what PW2 says? And the defense said, well, PW2 doesn't reference this specific statement. The only time they mention is in reference to the May 2021 shooting in Blackshear. And the prosecution said, look, this is incredibly corroborative. Durk is directing actions of the gang. He's showing knowledge of what's going on. And the judge basically went on to say, look, I'll let you know, all right? And then they talked about the Redman music video. The defense were basically saying that they object to all music videos. They were saying that this is art, not evidence. That phrase has been brought up a lot in Young Thug's trial as well. They kind of brought up the same thing. So in addition to that, they basically said that we object to all music videos. It's prejudicial clip. There's no allegations that Durk fired a firearm. The imagery of Durk shooting in the music video is completely prejudicial. And unless the jury is interested in the person in the video being, sorry, my bad. So then the judge says, well, unless the jury is interested in the person in the video being a lookalike, he kind of flipped it on him and said, well, yeah, it's prejudicial unless the jury think it's interesting that he's out there with a lookalike. And then the defense said, no one will testify that it's prejudicial. And then the prosecution basically said, look, the individual that gets executed in the Redman music video, he's a lookalike, he's identical to Quando, and he's wearing the same outfit that Lil Tim was wearing when he killed King Von. And then the judge just said, yeah, it's admitted. That's it. So that was some of the most damning evidence that was kind of presented today. They went back and forth about it. But basically, after that, there was an absolute bombshell that was dropped. I've already let you guys know about that on Instagram, but I'm going to do kind of like a bigger breakdown of this new piece of evidence because it's crazy. It involves Wack 100 and 6ix9ine. I'm not saying they're telling, I'm not saying that they're cooperating on this case, but what I am saying is that they are basically being mentioned, and apparently things that Wack and 6ix9ine had said actually did have a direct effect on Durk's mind state when he allegedly organized this murder for hire. So I'm going to explain that to you guys in a different video, but I'm done for now.
Just like that, he's done for now. And I'm done watching this nigga, armadillo ass nigga. Deuces.